Welcome, College esports fans, the Pacific Alliance of Collegiate Gamers League of Legends Spring Tournament. My name is Jake at SupermanCasting Mori. Casting alongside me this evening is Ben Jihadre Sorensen. We're going to be casting a couple of League of Legends matches for you this evening. I'm real excited to get right into our first match of this evening, Ben.
Same here. It's going to be University of Colorado versus Stanford. We are actually already into picks and bans. I'm ready to see it, but actually before we do that, why don't we take a look at our lineups and introduce some players first?
Sure, yeah. So that's going to be for University of Colorado. It'll be Ragnar the Sexy in the top lane, followed by Joe Mickey in the jungle, I Am Order in mid, Dapper Dave, our good old lady carry with Jin James, the Karma one-trick god on the support.
Then over on the red side for Stanford, we have Carlton Danks in the top lane, Clans in the jungle, Dolce Pooncake running the mid, Fiddix and Mr. PBH on the bot side at AD carry and support.
Yeah, and this should be a pretty good match between these two. We are already, as you mentioned, ready for that champion select, so we'll get right into that in just a moment. Talk to me about these two teams, though. If I'm not mistaken, it's 1-2 total match record, which you just saw there on that screen for Colorado, and then
2-0.
Yeah. Oh, really?
I believe it's 2-0 for Stanford.
All right. So who do you expect to actually have come out here? You can guys see on your screen here today's matches. Starting off, of course, is going to be Colorado 1-2. Stanford 2-0, strong just in the last couple of weeks here. And then you'll see our very own boys in red, University of Utah Utes, will be taking on the Oregon Ducks.
So now the thing about this match, the Colorado versus Stanford, is Colorado's a very early game-focused team. They like to get Dapper Dave rolling and doing well. But Stanford, on the other hand, likes to get their top laner going on the likes of Urgot and Darius, much more late-game centric as a team. And so if Colorado can take a commanding lead and win, I think they can keep it. But the moment this game goes over 23 minutes, Stanford.
23 minutes.
23 minutes. That's my call.
Why 23?
Because it's 3 minutes after the Baron spawns, and at that's the point where if you're playing correctly, you should have 2.5, maybe 3 items. You're getting really close to those breaking points, and once those points are met, that's when Stanford is really going to start taking off.
All right, 23 minutes. You heard it here first. Ben, the predictive god. So let's get right into that draft and see if they shape themselves into a team composition that will do just that for you. As you can see, this is Colorado versus Stanford. This is our draft, game 1 in this best of 3. I imagine top and jungle focuses very early in this draft. There is the Gangplank ban, Ben.
I'm pretty sure this is banned against Carlton every single game. We've seen him pop off on 4 different champions. This guy, it almost like he doesn't have an actual champion pool. He's got more like a champion ocean. And so I think that they're trying really hard to make sure that Carlton Danks isn't that carry that Stanford usually needs him to be. And then the follow-up bans here, Stanford wanting to get Lulu out, which actually might be the reason Jin James is always on Karma, because he can't play Lulu. And we know that he is one of those shield heal type champions, and so maybe they're trying to force him onto the Karma, especially because they follow up with another support ban in Janna.
Yeah, it's a lot of focus onto Jin James. I think it's all for naught, though, if you ask me. We've seen Jin James play almost exclusively Karma in the PACG, so I expect more of the same. But now that we complete bans for the first round, it's going to be our first few picks that will come out. Again, I expect it to be those top and jungle picks that will be most prioritized in the early parts of this draft.
Now, this is a really interesting pick, I think, for Ragnar. The champions we've seen him play are Singed, Nasus, and Maokai. And so picking up the Scion, it's so much more aggressive than everything else he usually plays. And so that's going to be a lot of fun to watch, especially with the effectiveness of the Comet with the Roar of the Slayer combination. But then over on Stanford's side, we see Zach and Tarek locked in. Those are actually very popular picks for Stanford. They've played them multiple times. Mr. PBH doing 2 of their 3 against, I want to say, Washington State, coming out with the wins on the Tarek, and then Zach being also very effective for Clans in the jungle.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. PBH here on the Tarek has been really good in the past, somehow managing to survive team fights that just should not have worked out.
Yeah,
and
for
then
sure.
the Cosmic Radiance that Tarek Ultimate makes everyone invulnerable and has done work for them in the past. So we'll have to see if that ends up making the huge difference for them once again. That's the first completion here of pick phase for Colorado. One more to come through. I expect AD carry, if not... Yeah, I just think you can answer the solo lanes now. Yeah, so that's going to be the mid lane. Dolce Poon, I love this pick here. His casting has been great in the past. I expect more of it once again.
And now it's interesting, first of all, that Rise made it through the pick and ban, or made it through the ban hammer, because he is really, really strong with all the changes to the mid lane items. But I think Kassadin is a good answer because he also does really well with that high mana pool, high regeneration, deals a lot of damage, going to do well with the new Seraph's Embrace and everything like that. And with his magic damage shield, he's going to be able to take a lot more abuse coming from the Rise. I think it's a wonderful pick.
Yeah, I would have liked to see a little bit more of a wave clear champion. I actually don't like this matchup, man. I think Rise is way too strong right now.
Okay.
You're not going to do anything during early to mid game as Kassadin that Rise can't do better, right? Rise is going to wave clear faster, keep you underneath your turret pre-6. And then if you're Kassadin and you're post-6, you're like, hey, I've unlocked Kassadin. You know, achievement unlocked, I can leave lane. If you choose to do so, Rise can show up just as quickly as you can, if not sooner. And he can damage multiple members a lot easier than you. He can get out safely. I just see Rise as a much better champion early to mid, no problem. And in terms of late game, there's more macro that Rise can apply, help his team secure objectives, make really cool rotations and picks. But in terms of damage, it just depends on how the fights go, and if people get caught, the Kassadin's really good at that. Or if they're full-on fights or just full catches of multiple members, that's what the Rise will do better. But yeah, early to mid, you and I have casted games where I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If you have no early game to mid game strategy, you can just fall off and make nothing happen, and just slowly but surely fall behind in gold, fall behind in turrets, lose control of the map, and the enemy team just takes over everything. Right? And if that's the case, you can't actually count on getting to late game, getting to the point where your champion becomes unlocked, becomes useful. And so you have to have a plan for the early to mid. And I don't see that happen for the Kassadin, despite me knowing full well how good Dolce Pooncake is on this champion. His team has to play around the fact that he cannot do what Rise can.
Correct. But I think that's why they drafted the Tarek Xayah bot lane. So much aggression going to be coming out of that. We've seen Xayahs do so much damage and Tarek's be so effective, especially in the hands of Mr. PBH. And then with the assistance of clans on that Zac, he's one of those top 3 junglers we talk about a lot. Just the ability to gank from multiple areas, just such long range, amazing crowd control, huge assist. I think that that's what they're probably going to try and do, is have clans be roaming more toward those side lanes and letting the Kassadin scale up to the point where he can be somewhat of an answer to the Rise. But then, surprise, look at Jinjin James.
Man, what a surprise indeed, Ben. I mean, we've got a pretty good lineup for both these teams, but it is rounded out for Red here. Last pick going to come through. I'm excited actually for this game because both of these teams are in that middle to high end of the pack, right, where they're doing pretty well for themselves. We've seen good games out of them. In fact, both of these teams have played a total of 6 games, even though one of them has played 3 matches.
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
Yeah,
the math didn't make sense for a minute there.
It's very different. So Stanford, it has, surprisingly, because we've never seen them before the PACG, you and I have never seen them before PACG, they've surprisingly gotten 2 2-0s for themselves. Right? So that's pretty good. But then 2 and 4 overall game record for University of Colorado. But their games have been close.
Yes.
Pretty much all the time. There have been some blowouts where they've just kind of gotten wrecked. But other than just a couple of games that have looked like that, they've looked pretty close, strong performances overall.
Yeah, and even their opponents, like the win for Colorado was against Oregon State. I think that one was the 2-0, but we watched Oregon State against Stanford just on Wednesday, and Oregon State looked great.
Yeah, they did.
So if Colorado beat Oregon State and Oregon State beat Stanford, it might just be the way it goes. But then at the same time, Stanford beat Washington State, and who else did they play? Was it Oregon State as well?
I think they've played both Oregons, right? Stanford?
Have they? I believe they have. I think you're right. Yeah.
So we are about to load onto Summoner's Rift. Again, just to give you viewers out there a reminder, we're now into week 4 of the Pacific Alliance of Collegiate Gamers. That means we're just about halfway through the regular series, right? The regular season, if you will, leading up to the playoffs. You can see for the group stage, there's just going to be those 8 weeks of regular play with the 6 matches per school. That's a round-robin format, leading into the playoffs, which will take place essentially for League of Legends. Will be different than some other tournaments, simply because you'll have the quarter finals, if you will, taking place over Monday and Wednesday, are 2-day week for League of Legends. The week before finals week, of course, but talk to me about that.
Finals week is going to be amazing. It's going to be all of the PACG tournaments coming to a close, with League of Legends semifinals on a Monday, Overwatch semis and finals on a Tuesday. No. Is there semi?
Oh.
That's how that one is going to go? Okay, and then on Wednesday will be the League of Legends finals with semis and finals for Hearthstone, and then semis and finals of Rocket League concluding the week on that Friday. It's going to be amazing to watch. All of the best teams in all of the leagues, all of the games. It's going to be amazing to see the best teams of the PACG going at it to see who comes ahead in this first season.
Yeah, and we'll be excited to in the next little while, probably on Wednesday, we're going to do a little bit more time spent showing you guys how things have gotten to where they are now, just to give everybody that heads up of which teams have now cemented themselves near the tops of those standings and who's been lagging behind. I mean, even though we have some clear favorites to come out of the group stage and some that we definitely won't see in the playoffs, even those ones, like we talked about this last week in our show, where even, say, Oregon State, for example, who cannot make it to postseason now, their performance was still spectacular.
It was.
Just a beauty to watch. So it's really exciting watching all of these players put forth their best efforts to bring out the wins for their schools on the Pacific Alliance of Collegiate Gamers League of Legends Spring Tournament.
It definitely has been that. And so on that note, I want to talk about these two teams, Colorado and Stanford, because there are a lot of things we need to talk about. The differences between these two teams are actually pretty significant. But you and I were talking a little bit earlier about how we think that Ragnar might be the answer to Carlton Danks.
Maybe.
Just because of the play style that Carlton plays. He likes to be in your face in those kind of tanky later game scaling champions. But then you put that against the play style of Ragnar, who likes to kind of sit back and only engage when he has the advantage. I'm actually really sad we didn't see the Singed come out.
Yeah.
Because that we talked about that is a direct counter to Carlton's play style. And it would have been amazing to see that, because we don't get to see a lot of Singed anymore. He's not very favorable at the moment.
Despite him actually being really, really strong right now. There's even that new rune that you can take.
Oh, I love it.
It was the passive for taking the inspiration tree, where you would get that plus 20% elixir and potion duration. You take that, as well as essentially doubling that for, or excuse me, it would be more than that, with taking Dark Seal or multiple Dark Seals, and you get just like the stacking. For whatever reason, it just is so strong to have essentially the Mundo level of health regeneration and mana regeneration when you're running around with like Corrupting Potion and whatnot. It just does so much damage, and you're basically unkillable because your effective health pool is like doubled. So it's really cool. His Singed play is really good too. I would love to see more of it either tonight in their series or at least later on in PACG.
Yeah.
Especially in postseason when you're just so comfortable on a champion and you have wins under your belt hundreds of games played. You do well in it in solo queue. And we've seen him, even though the one time, correct me if I'm wrong, the one time that we have seen him actually bust out the Singed here in competitive play that we've watched, even though they lost, he did very well.
Yes, he did. It was actually their first game against Oregon.
Yeah.
It was the very first game that we were able to watch, and there was a massive lead for Colorado. Singed was, this guy, this Ragnar, he was pushing the top lane, he was proxying, just getting pressure everywhere with Dapper Dave on the bottom side, drawing aggro so he could just do exactly that. He was just running around flipping people and getting poison in all of the fights.
Yeah, and it was Dapper Dave that game on the Xayah.
Callista.
Callista?
It was on Callista.
Oh, man, that's so strong. And I'm excited for this match because Xayah actually has come through here for Stanford, and we've seen Fiddix and his late game scaling, his late game positioning. He does extremely well. Xayah, the champion to look for. But Caitlyn's nothing to laugh at either, especially when she has this massive front line. We just had to remake the lobby, ladies and gentlemen. This small delay for you. There were some bugs from the client and their just whatever it was. We had to remake the lobby. We're just now into the last little bit there of the spectator delay, so we've already completed that draft and everything over again. Again, we apologize just for the short delay before we get into our match, but should be a good game.
Oh, indeed.
Starting off for game one. Just to guys give it your rundown, we've got Sion in the top lane with Jarvan jungle, Ryze mid, Caitlyn 80 carry supported by Karma for Colorado. And on the red side, it's going to be that Maokai Zach top lane and jungle, and then Kassadin, Xayah, Taric in those LCS order roles.
It's beautiful. And, oh, there it is. Look at that.
I can pull it back up.
A lot of it's interesting here. Jarvan is the only one in our top 4 here that we see. One of our observers, our QA person, thank you so much, Angelique, for putting this together. Jarvan is the third most picked or banned in this series at the 83%. We see him picked here. But then what else is interesting is the other 3, the Tristana, Sejuani, and Varus, are all 3 banned. Just showing exactly those things, that these champions are definitely powerful, and there's a reason they're really high up in there. They don't want to see them play. The Varus with the on-hit build, Tristana, you and I have ranted about this Tristana making it through and just destroying late games. Sejuani, amazing playmaking, and so, good adaptability here from the teams, keeping those banned because they are just that strong.
Yeah, I mean, it should be a story of mid-game, I think, for both these teams. The late game, in my idea, is too close to call. I think both teams have precisely the tools they would like for late game. But in terms of the early to mid, I think it's heavily in favor of Colorado, unless Zach just somehow pops off. He has to be the one to make the huge difference instead of, because these lanes are pushed in. Every single one of them. Top lane, Sion's going to get the push.
Yes.
No questions asked. Same thing with mid lane. And then Caitlyn versus Xayah can be kind of close, but I imagine Jin James, Karma is going to make it a lot easier for Dapper Dave to push, should they choose to, versus just Fiddix trying to throw feathers through everything. And on the other end, sometimes as the Karma, you just help auto shove anyway, because your spells, some of them are AoE or hit in AoE, so it can be really close. Because the early game is so heavily stacked to favor Colorado, I worry about Stanford getting to their mid to late. And if they can't get to mid to late, I worry that they just lose towers. Remember, Caitlyn was changed a while ago so that her headshot can damage turrets. If she just gets a BF sword on curve, you back, you have 30, 40 CS, you'll be able to purchase an item. You come back, you have that extra attack damage, which is then bonus damage on your headshot procs on turrets, and you're just sitting safe. Again, it'll have to be the Zac that shows up from Fog of War to stop you sieging those turrets and getting first brick into neutral objectives. Can you imagine if they don't have the vision here for Stanford, and Stanford can't stop Colorado just shoving every single lane, taking dragons and, say, Rift Herald, and then just translating that into more turrets. Then by the time we're hitting, what was it you said? 23 minutes exactly.
23 minutes.
By the time we hit 23 minutes, we could see 2 to 3 items, 2.5 items. 3 would be a little crazy. That would be snowbally. But 2 items completed on Colorado's side, whereas you just have 1 and components for a second here for Stanford. And if that's the case, you get that quiet, small accruing lead in the early game, I worry once again about Stanford even getting close to where they would hope to be. I think it's all up to the Zach in the early game.
I agree with you completely. And I think that's why they picked the Zach. The range of his engage and the amount of crowd control does surpass that of Jarvan. I believe he's also a little bit tougher in the jungle. He starts with more hit points, and Jarvan had his armor nerf a couple patches ago. And that's why I think that he can actually do his Raptors, get that extra experience and gold.
More area of effect damage, a little bit tankier. He can heal up from the Bloblets, but we are ready for that game. Here we are, Game 1, Colorado versus Stanford. This is our first match of the evening. You're watching Week 4 of the Pacific Alliance of Collegiate Gamers. I'm excited for this match, Ben, because this is pretty close. These two teams are pretty well matched, and this draft has gone decently for the two teams. You can see unsealed Spellbook for Ryze. He started with heal just for safety in mid lane. Not the aggressive Ignite where we've seen sometimes when people will take unsealed. But basically the idea is you take some summoner spell that you think you might want or need in the early laning phase. You recall, swap that to teleport if you didn't use it. Ooh, but they will get caught here checking into the jungle. They will face check into the Maokai in full vision. Will they be able to contest this? This is just not a jungle Maokai, just top lane, so they should be able to get this started.
All right, with the Bramble Smash, I don't think they will be able to contest it. I think that you would want the sapling there to try and stop that. But at the same time, it hurts your laning phase. I play Maokai. Oop, there it is. So you do want the Bramble Smash first. Nice steal there. And now it looks like a fight in the bot side. They knew that Zach had to be starting there on the blue side because they got the red up on the top side. So nice heads-up play from Dapper Dave and Jin James to try and fight and try and put Zach behind a little bit.
Yeah, and it's kind of unfortunate when you lose so much health on an invade like that. It's going to be Jin James who lost it, which is actually better because though Caitlyn has fleet foot, you don't want... Oh, okay, this could actually be really bad there. Fidix chooses not to root Jin James. I assume he took the E at level 2. You don't always, but you can. The interesting thing here was because of that invade, there was a lot of experience missed by Colorado's bottom lane. Oh, but this is actually a really close fight. Only 100 health. Ragnar the Sexy. You can see the corrupting potion from both these guys have been just ticking forever.
And the fact of the matter is, I think Maokai is going to win. That if you actually get in close enough to fight, he has the Aftershock, he has a way to dodge the knock-up from Ragnar the Sexy. Here we go. More damage there. He just ran right into it. No Bramble Smash, but he's getting so much damage here onto Ragnar. And it's not looking good for him. But now we are back on the bot lane, and it looks like a couple of trades have gone the way of Colorado. Phoenix dropping down to just over 100 hit points there, too.
Oh, man. This is so close. A lot of trades happening across the entire map. The junglers seem not to exist thus far, though. But the options are there, certainly, for these junglers to show up when there's so many trades in the different lanes. Because when you get these people low, then you don't have to worry about not being able to catch the one person that you're focused on. If they're already down to, say, like Phoenix here, 300 health, yes, it could be a turret dive, but he's so low. As long as you play around those summoner spells, you should be able to get this. Look at this triple wave of casters now hitting the turret. That's actually going to be a significant amount of damage. I mentioned how the early game just kind of goes in their favor with the free pushes and how that can translate into essentially first turret into more gold and snowball from there. You can just see that that's exactly what they're looking for. Lucky for Stanford that Fidix, for example, has not fallen terribly behind NCS. That's really important.
And not only that, he was dancing around that Yordle snap track perfectly. Dapper Dave tried to catch him, but it was right there underneath the turret. But there's a flash from Dolce to avoid the gank from the Jarvan. There's your first interaction from the jungle. Joe Mickey trying to get his Ryze ahead.
Yeah, and lucky for Dolce Pooncake, that was at level 4, not any earlier. And hopefully for him, he'll have his level 6. He'll have Rift Walk, and maybe he'll... Oh, no, excuse me, he does not have Cleanse. I thought he had. But he'll be level 6. He'll have Rift Walk by the next time Jarvan shows up. Because normally it'll take a little while, just a little bit longer for the Jarvan to show back up in mid lane since he'll want to do some camps, maybe in the meantime. Yeah, I like that you mentioned getting this Rise ahead. He's already such a strong champion in the current meta with all of the mana stacking items that still build health. The total damage that this Rise can put out is actually going to be massive, and it can become all AoE, right? So he's the one to be watching here for Colorado, whereas the Zac, I mentioned, he has to be the most important member in this early game. We're now 6 minutes in, essentially, and the Zac has not shown up. Clans, great on this champion, but where has he been? Here he is.
He is going to jump, forcing the flash from Ragnar the Sexy. Carlton Dank's going to get the slow with the Bramble Smash. Clans, though, interrupts the Q, flash forward for the W, but it's instantly countered. Flash forward from Clans, popping him into the passive. That is going to be a 1 for 2 in favor of Colorado.
Woo! That's a nice turnaround. Even though there was the beautiful interrupt there from Clans onto Ragnar the Sexy, the Scion lives for just long enough to get that bait off. And Joe Mickey getting the nice double knock-up with the Jarvan. He's now shown up. Yes, Clans finally gets his first gank, and it is a success insofar as they got a kill. But
and a
then
flash.
and then there's the zombie that comes out from Scion, and that will net them 2 kills for just the 1. Very good for them. That puts the gold lead at about 700, which will make them feel pretty comfortable. Again, considering Colorado is supposed to be winning the early game anyway, it feels good to be up 2-1 with a 1,000 gold lead to boot.
Definitely. And it's actually interesting. Normally you don't see a lot of kills from the Scion when he's in his passive form. I was actually talking to someone about it a little bit earlier today. It's fun to watch and it's exciting, but how often do you actually see him kill people when he's in the passive? Because just the way the game is right now, there's so much crowd control, there's so much peel in the meta that you don't really see him successfully killing anybody. But we just saw 2 of them right there, so that was beautiful. Nice play there from Colorado, showing that you can do great things.
Yeah, I mean, if there's crowd control galore, then there's crowd control both sides, right? And if you can lock people down, then there's no reason that the zombie shouldn't be able to lock them down as well in terms of the death chamber. Get some damage onto them so much in the zombie form. But there's a gank down here. Clans trying to do a little bit more for his team. Dapper Dave is kind of in an awkward position, but there's the Rise.
There's the Realm Warp. That's a nice everything. Jarvan jumps in, gets the Cataclysm. Mr. PBH is still alive. No one has gone down in terms of the bot side, but Clans on the back does go down against Dapper Dave and Jijid James. But now there are 4 members of Colorado here, and they're probably just going to take this turret. No way. Fidix and Mr. PBH are way too low. Unless they're close enough to level 6 that they might be able to get a Cosmic Radiance, but I don't think so. That is a massive shove and a huge advantage for Colorado with that. Like you said, the ability to roam on the Rise comes out amazingly in this early game for Colorado.
Yeah, and you would at least hope that the enemy mid laner here, Stanford's mid laner, Dolce Pooncake, on a comfort pick on the Castle, you'd hope he's able to make something happen when he knows that the Rise is gone. But he can't even get it to the turret, essentially. He barely pushes it in time to get it near to the turret, that wave. But that is an 8.5 minute first brick now in favor of Colorado. What was a 700 to 1,000 gold lead ends up now exploding, essentially, within the last 60 seconds, now to 3,500 gold already.
And that's exactly what they needed to do. We talked about it. That's Colorado's strategy. They need to get early advantages. That's where Dapper Dave is strong. That's where I Am Order is strong. Ragnar, same thing. It's all about getting these guys ahead so that there is no late game for Stanford. And it's working out beautifully here.
Yeah, they're just going to have to remain safe. We've seen a lot of summoner spell usage from Colorado to try and secure these objectives. Yes, they've been answered essentially by every flash across the board for Stanford. Means Stanford has those limited resources to actually follow up whatever Clans is hoping to do. And speaking of Clans and what he's trying to do, there is going to be the scuttle, but will he be in big trouble? Not quite.
No, he makes it out with the elastic slingshot. And that's another advantage to Zac, is there are a lot of ways for you to get in and out, especially now that he's hit level 6. If they start a fight, it's going to look really good. But they have to be careful about this push in the top side.
Yeah, I'm glad to see Stanford answering the 2v2. Normally, it feels really bad. If you lose your turret, you think, oh, I need to stay here because I don't leave my lane until I've successfully broken the enemy's turret as well. But you have to actually rotate. Even if it doesn't feel good, you have to do that. To answer the 2v2, especially when you know that you're already struggling to stop this Caitlyn's pushes, stop her taking these turrets, you need to put your multiple members up near that top side. Ooh, and this Caitlyn, by the way, crits after crit after crit, decided to go not straight into Infinity Edge, but instead go BF Sword into Zeal for the bonus attack speed, bonus crit chance, and of course, with more attack speed comes more headshots. Those turrets should fall even faster.
I don't like that Clans has stayed here so long. They're playing way too safe. That ward has just expired, but no, it didn't. Sorry, his model just covered up the hit points on it. And you know, he's wasting so much time. Kassadin is being pushed underneath his turret. Maokai is being shoved. He is ahead in the CS department, but you know, Joe Mickey has been farming the entire time. He's coming up on like a minute and a half here, just chilling in this tri-brush. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, I mean, you really want to make sure that you don't stand on a ward for that long. You either have to bring a sweeper with you or a pink, or just ask like, hey, do you guys know one way or the other? And if you don't know for sure that you're not standing on a ward, the double negative there, you shouldn't stick around. You need to do something with your time. Speaking of doing something with their time, they're looking to get onto I Am Order.
And there's the kill for Dolce, but now the ultimate coming out of sight. I don't think you needed to run into that, Clans, but it was probably to try and get a good engage. Maokai is here, but Carlton does not push it. Now they have 3. Maybe they might be trying to shove in for this mid turret. But Zach does jump away. Clans wants to get some farm for himself because he is 20 behind. Not looking good for the Zach, which is the early game insurance, right? We needed to see Zach work for Stanford to get to that late game.
Yeah, and he's going to be a main component of their initiation. They have the Maokai, who's always going to be massively tanky. We haven't seen what we've wanted to see from Zach so far. I would say he hasn't been a complete and utter disappointment because it's very difficult to gank anyway, period. Full stop, right? Being a jungler is a difficult choice.
But here we go, Mr. PBH and Fidix do land the stun onto Dapper Dave. The ultimate from Tarek does go down. Jinjin James is getting the kill onto Fidix. Now the flash is onto Mr. PBH. Gonna get the root onto Dolce. Jinjin James dealing a lot of damage. Dapper Dave picks up one more. But will they be able to get Dolce here? They have one more minion. Joe Mickey is gonna tank the turret. He gets the kill. Jinjin James runs away on single-digit health. He gets killed. Dolce Pooncake gets in there. Dapper Dave now is probably going to win that exchange. And there's the shutdown gold in favor of Colorado.
That's pretty close, though, Ben. Like, that within a half a second, maybe a full second from when Dolce actually fell there, it could have been his Rift Walk, and it was fully stacked back up, right? Like, there's no maximum on the stacking there, but it's more and more damage every single time that you do cast it. Oh my goodness, Carlton Danks.
Carlton Danks is caught here. I Am Order flashes the wall just to find him, but look at the crowd control Carlton Danks has. The sapling did not land, so he is not slowed. I Am Order pretty quick, but he goes in, he gets the heal from his passive, gets the aftershock. He is going to go down because Joe Mickey is there, and this Jarvan is doing a lot of good work. 1-1-5 means he's 6 out of 7 kill participation.
Yep, he's doing really well for himself. My one worry about it is that he did go Warrior Enchant.
Yeah.
Now, Warrior Enchant isn't always a mistake, by any means. However, he is, if Sion's not there, you cannot count on anyone else to be tanky. There will be the shields that Jinjin James can provide for his team, but other than that, zero tankiness whatsoever. The Sion must be there, but if Sion's splitting, for whatever reason, you can't match that tankiness of the Zac Maokai, and you know that Zaya's damage will be there one way or the other. Yes, she's been quiet so far, but you can see she's breaking 100 CS pretty soon here. Falling behind the Caitlyn, that's for certain, but that's just how the game has been going. You know that the Zaya will show up late game, and that's the worry here. Ooh, nice trap placement.
Oh, Mr. PBH is solo. He flashes. Fidix does absorb that ult. Now, Mr. PBH needs to know, okay, they do find out. Kassadin does drop the pink ward, or rather the control ward, to find that blue one. And so Jinjin James and Dapper Dave are safe. They're probably going to take they are definitely going to take this turret. I stand corrected. It was a lot less healthy than I imagined. Carlton Danks doing pretty decent here against the Scion despite needing to go into that bottom side where the turret is gone. You know, staying ahead in CS by a little bit, staying tanky. Only the, I guess, tying him in the champion score there, the KDA. But we see another fight. No knock-up there from Joe Mickey. Let's Bounce throws him in. The ultimate from Tarek is down. Cosmic Radiance is cast. They've got 2 invulnerable here. Cassidy jumps in, picks up a kill for himself. A nice Elastic Slingshot lands onto Ginger James and Dapper Dave. There's the stun from Tarek and the spray from Dolce. And there it is. 8 kills now to 7 in favor of Stanford.
Okay, but the gold has not gone entirely back to Stanford yet, right? I was just about to talk about how from minute 7 to minute 9, the gold lead went from 700 to 3,000, right, in favor of Colorado. But since then, especially with that last trade that just happened there, essentially a team fight completely lost for Colorado. That gold lead is now essentially the same as it was almost half the game ago.
Right. And that's the power of Stanford scaling. Like you said, level 6 on Dolce means he can even solo kill I Am Order on that rise. That's the champion mastery coming out there. Like you said, a very good Cassidon player. There's Dolce Pooncake. And fantastic for 6-1 right now.
Yeah.
Amazing scoreline.
The Dark Seal, 9 stacks. As you can see, he's now getting that additional cooldown reduction to hopefully spam more of those Rift Walks. And of course, when you have the secondary precision tree, you have presence of mind. It's that, not a keystone, it's a rune that allows you to have essentially free spellcasts within 7 seconds of leveling up or getting an assist or kill, some sort of takedown. So when that's the case, you essentially get resets on the mana portion of your capability to just continue to chase with Riftwalk. You can get extremely expensive Riftwalks, which do massive amounts of damage. You can get those to come out for free within a short period of time within a team fight. So we'll have to see if they decide to dive this turret.
I don't think they even need to dive. It is down. Now, Dolce Pooncake is in a lot of trouble. He manages to flash out, but the shutdown comes from Caitlyn there. Beautiful layering of the crowd control. Now, the knockups are there. Fidix has to ult to stay alive. And Jinjin James is going to go down. No, Dapper Dave, rather. And now the fight is going on. Zach is burning from the red buff, but gets healed by Tarek. That is a 1-for-1, but the loss of the turret puts it in the favor of Colorado.
It's pretty scary. Trying to defend essentially 2v3 with no damage champions. The root.
The ult now coming from Tarek. They are invulnerable. Does not mean they are immune to crowd control, though. And now Carlton Danks taking a lot of damage. They're going to have a hard time killing this banner minion here, Mr. PBH and Carlton Danks. But that's another kill for them. Now it was a 2-for-1, and Dolce dodges out a little bit, gets a lot of damage onto I Am Order, is rooted. Carlton Danks wants to get in and get his own root. Too far now. Nice chase from Stanford, and it looks like they have five members. I think they can try and pressure this turret, or indeed the Mountain Drake.
Yeah, the Mountain should be really strong. It'll help them secure even more neutral objectives and make the pushes when they can finally get that to happen. Remember, not a single turret has been taken here for Stanford, though all outers have fallen now in favor of Colorado. A nice little push just happened. You can see the gold lead still has not gone beyond that 3,000 mark. In fact, it's barely there at all by this point. This could be a fight for sure. Cataclysm still has a little bit longer before it comes back up. If they're going to get zoned off, this should be now. Yes, it will be. The Mountain Dragon going over the second one in a row now for Colorado. The gold might not mean everything if they can continue to get these elemental dragons, the now stacking of the mountains, just massive. Now it's 20% bonus true damage to neutral objectives and structures.
The biggest problem there was Fidix got really low. Does manage to take the blue buff, though, and that's really good, denying it from I Am Order on this rise, who's already below half mana. But Fidix getting caught and, you know, barely double-digit hit points there on the top side of the mid lane is what stopped everything from Stanford. They lost their carry. They lost their physical damage against the cannon minion, and then the push just was not there. Dolce helping pick up the teleport fight. But then Carlton Danks by that time was low as well, and if you have no tank to help you with that Drake, it just goes right over to Colorado. So the macro kind of suffering a little bit for Stanford at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, when they had to run away, there was what? I want to say like 1,200 health or less on that dragon.
It was very low.
You can imagine if they were on it immediately when you were calling it, Ben, that if they had been there instead of, do we take mid, do we try for dragon, and then if they had just gone straight there when they had the members in place, you can imagine that they might have been able to actually take that. And that will be finally the first turret falling in favor of Stanford University. The gold lead, 3,500. There looks to be a catch here onto Sion. He's all alone.
He is all alone, has to burn the flash because of the amount of crowd control available to the Stanford lineup. A nice catch, but a nice flash as well. Don't want to fall right now. We're coming up on the 21 minutes, and it's looking pretty good for Colorado. You don't want to be dying.
Yeah, I mean, and League of Banners has been completed now for both top laners. You saw how hard it was for Stanford without Fidix there for them to even have a hope of clearing a banner minion. Majority magic damage if the Xayah's not there. Speaking of Xayah, she looks to be face-checking into multiple members. Joe Mickey's there. I am order on the flank. This is going to be a face check from Pooncake. Will he get locked down long enough?
He is locked down, but he makes it over the wall. Joe Mickey wants to go in for the knockup. He gets caught. Nice Cosmic Radiance there to make everyone invulnerable. There's a nice elastic strike. Mr. PBH does pick up the kill on Joe Mickey, but Clans lands right on a trap. That is a 1-for-0 right now with Maokai and Sion fighting in the bot side there. Mr. PBH might die. Dapper
goodness.
Dave does not get stunned, but instead takes the kill onto Mr. PBH. Fidix and Pooncake need to be really careful here. Rift walk away. I am order flashes forward. Does not land the root because Fidix ults. But now Carlton Danks is all alone. Ragnar using his ult to get out of the brambles. And now the slow from Roar of the Slayer. No flash here for Carlton Danks. He just used it. He is trying to heal. He does get the dodge in with the W. Carlton Danks heals so much from his passive. And that's a kill onto Dapper Dave for Fidix. And now Dolce is in here. I am order goes down. Ragnar is almost all alone. The root from Fidix. And now Jin James is solo. The root from the trap gets him safe for a little bit. Dolce is on the chase for Jin James. I don't think he's going to make it. That's one Rift Walk. He is behind turrets now. He gets the slow. He might actually get it. Rift Walk forward. Dolce Pooncake on a killing spree, taking out Jin James.
Juhadre, I can't believe I doubted Dolce ever. This is his champion, and you can see he's at 9-2. His team going to start up the Baron. He's got teleport to show up, too, if there's any need for him to do so. I imagine he will.
I think he will just because Jarvan's right there. I think they knew that he was there. This is the most important part of the game. We're at 23 minutes now, Superman. Dolce is going to try and zone him off. He stops the attempt with the blast cone. Joe Mickey is so low. Dolce chasing, gets the kill. No steal possible. That means Baron for Stanford.
Yeah, the best way to peel a jungler away from the Baron is to send him to that gray screen simulator, and that's exactly what they do. That's going to be 23 minutes? What was it?
It was 23 minutes.
It is 23 minutes, and that's going to be the Baron. They pick it up pretty much right on the dot. Nice prediction there. Juhadre spot on, and that will be the Baron again in favor of Stanford. The trees are growing, and they are coming for the Buffaloes.
This is amazing. This is exactly what I wanted to see. Colorado needed to get ahead, but it didn't happen because of this.
Yeah, leading up to the Baron, this is what happened. You can see Carlton Danks gets so low, but there's a 540 health heal that comes through. And you can imagine the headshot was actually there. He had it ready. And you can imagine if it crit too, there's no way Carlton Danks doesn't fall there. But Ragnar's able to try and turn this around. He gets so low, and then this is where you see, oh, is there a Cassidy in the game? There's no way you don't die. Jin James fails to dodge out the slow, and that'll just be the chase that comes through. Dolce Pooncake will easily pick that back up. But this is back to life. You can see Banner of Command will be off cooldown in just a moment. Dolce Pooncake is splitting on the bottom side of the map. He did use teleport before. Joe Mickey's looking for something, but he is standing essentially on top of a ward.
They know he's there, but he goes in anyway onto Fidix. No, the ultimate does go out, pull him back in, and he might get a root. No need because Maokai rooted him. The ultimate comes down. The Cosmic Radiance is going to get 3. And now Dolce Pooncake is going to join. There's the Banner of Command plus Baron minion. All the damage now coming out of Fidix does take down Ragnar the Sexy. Carlton Danks taking up turret means that Dolce can just go on this rampage. Does pop the Zonias, getting the triple kill. This is huge for Stanford's winning condition.
Oh, man. Ace for nothing, Jadre. They're just going to push to win. They might as well. They've got now the Baroned up cannon minion with the banner of command. This is so much damage. It's like 300 damage and auto attack from a screen away. Essentially, there's one. There's two. 3 shots on that turret. It falls. Here is the cannon, focuses the minion, but this is them just trying to stall out for as long as they can. Will Mr. PBH fall? He does.
But Joe Mickey falls as well. Jin James not going to have the damage. Ragnar the Sexy not going to be able to do anything. This is a victory for Stanford. And without the victory at 23 minutes, Stanford pulls it out.
Oh my
Man,
goodness.
I'm good at this game.
Yeah, I mean the perfect prediction there, Jadre. Yes, the cannon minion does get the plus 50 gold in favor of Stanford. The last little bit. Let's take one more look at that team fight and how it went. I mentioned how the Jarvan, he's just not tanky. The Warrior Enchant build, if you don't get super snowball, you can't tank anything. He's the first to die in this fight, and it lasts long enough that Dolce Pooncake, who was splitting bot side, shows up just in time. Look at the damage from just his one spell. Gets them all down to half health, and the Zaya's still in the backline, just ripping through health bars. Ragnar's going to try and return. He gets Mr. PBH really low, but you can see Caitlyn. There's only so much you can do when this super fed Kassadin is just rift walk after rift walk after rift walk. Jadre, the triple kill comes in favor. There is the style points, turns golden, and they'll just end the game off of that. Man, what a great showing from Stanford. Coming back, I guess it doesn't matter if you can't have an early game if you know that you can play so well to your champions win conditions from mid to late.
And that was perfect. That was exactly what we talked about it, right? There was no early game.
Yeah.
So in the bot side, Karma Caitlin's going to shove. All right. Yep. That means Zaya Tarek, you relax. Go under your turret. Just don't die.
Yeah.
And they didn't. They didn't until they moved up to the top side. And by that time, we were getting closer into the team fight phase. And that was allowing Kassadin to come online. Zach got a couple extra camps there and was able to make the difference.
Yeah. The one thing about those compositions, specifically talking about Kassadin versus early game,
yes,
right, is precisely what I talked about. What we were talking about happening for Colorado did happen. They just smash early. Like, what can you do? Nothing.
No.
Right? Clans couldn't show up where he needed to be to make sure it didn't happen. And honestly, you can't put it all on his shoulders. You can't ask a jungler to hard carry the first 20 minutes of a game.
Especially when he's a tank and not a carry.
Yeah. And so what is he going to do? Pretty much nothing. He does show up in some places, but he was 0-2-2 in the first few minutes of the game. That means he's trying and essentially doing his job, kind of, but things are just always going better for Colorado. That was the early game. But then Kassadin, because things weren't perfect, weren't clean, weren't unusable in favor of Colorado, unabusable, I said, in favor of Colorado because it wasn't so perfect. Then it ends up being, you wait long enough, the fights take long enough, Kassadin shows up, gets people down, and gets just stacks on his Darkseal, and gets the items, starts snowballing, starts showing up in every single fight, and gets all the kills in the back line. That's just so much. You have to see the Kassadin banning. I don't even think we'll need a break, Joe.
No, I don't think we will either.
Yeah.
We have most players in the lobby. We talked about pretty much everything about that match. The Kassadin made it work for Stanford. The later the game was going, the more the Buffaloes just stopped their own aggression. They could not make it happen. Their early game is really strong, and they need to accelerate that. You've got to. And I think that the biggest reason it couldn't is because Sejuani was gone. I think that the Sejuani has better pressure earlier than the Jarvan, just more ways to get in there. The Cataclysm is good, but it's not a stun.
Yep.
And then the Arctic Assault after that, getting closer, just so much tankier. I think that the Jarvan was a good pick. I just don't think it was right for how good Colorado's early game really is.
I've got to say, I expect you have to ban the Kassadin. And if you're going to play Jarvan, I hope you learned your lesson as Joe Mickey here.
Oh, yeah.
About building Warrior. It's not a mistake in and of itself.
No.
But you have to play differently. Jarvan's very different when you're Juggernaut versus damage, right?
Yes.
Like, you have to be building just health to be the front line, or you have to hope that you will have enough damage already, or you're snowballing so far ahead that your damage will actually delete someone or get them low enough that they can't continue to fight and they have to back off. But that's never going to be the case. Especially, like, it's very curious to me if they have Tarek on the enemy team. It's extremely unlikely that unless you're going, like, full-on warrior enchant into Duskblade Jarvan, then you can't think, oh, I need some damage. You think, oh, I need to live. Please, God help me. I need to live, right? Like, and of course that your survivability exponentially grows, right? Because for every extra point of health you're getting more actual health from your effective health, from shielding on yourself and regeneration that will be based on your max health if you build Warmogs and the like. So I don't like that build. His play on Jarvan was pretty good. I mean, the turnaround gank at the top side gets his team really ahead. He's showing up pretty much wherever he needs to be. I didn't see him getting caught in random situations.
No,
in fact, I saw him getting nice knockups, nice cataclysms, being positionally precisely where he needs to. Precisely where he needs to, right? But not in the way that it was necessary.
It's because this mid laner was the wizard. That's what it was.
Who wasn't quite showing up precisely when they needed him to.
No, actually. Like we were talking about, the Rise had amazing pressure in that mid lane. Had it shoved the entire time. Got the Realm Warp in the bot side. It helped catapult that lead. But then after that, nothing else happened. I Am Order ran out of order to bring. And so it was it's the same story for all 5 members of Colorado here, is they did it, and then they stopped doing it, and then they couldn't afterward.
Yeah. Mistake for sure, but we're going to get into the draft for Game 2 in just a few moments here, ladies and gentlemen, and all of you fellow gamers. Man, I'm excited for this second game of our first match this evening, Ben, because Carlton Danks, he's the one to watch for Stanford. It was really quiet game for them on the top side, where yes, you have this nice Maokai pick, but what can you really be doing? Not very much. The Scion seems to be doing a little bit more. He's the one who gets the double kill in top lane. He gets really strong. Gets the first banner minion. You saw that doing work in mid lane, making things really difficult. But then, I mean, how do you outplay, quote unquote, without spending 800 gold on executioners or investing a lot into a Morello? How do you outplay 540 health healing from one auto attack that procs his passive on the Maokai? I actually really want to see him play more of that. We talked about how Ragnar the Sexy is known for the Singed pick, does really well into tanks. I think that's a possible answer if he doesn't go back to the Scion. Carlton Danks, he's got to go for something either hyper-aggressive that we're used to seeing him on, right? Urgot, Jax, something of that nature. Or I want to see more again of that Maokai. I think it was really, really good.
I agree. Maokai super, super strong. It would have been even more powerful, I think, if he had had Grasp of the Undying.
Yeah.
But the damage coming out from the Aftershock was pretty impressive. But just imagine if he had Grasp of the Undying plus pass Sap Magic at the exact same time. I'm willing to bet it would have been like 800 hit points coming back from that. And it would have chunked the Caitlyn lower, so she couldn't even get that 90 caliber net out of the fight. But enough about that. The adaptation now from Colorado. The first 3 bans for Stanford are exactly the same, just different order. Janna, Lulu instead of Lulu, Janna. But then over here, Kassadin and Tarek are now unavailable for Stanford.
Very good adaptation.
Yes.
And it's not just because you lost to those champions. I don't like seeing changes just being like, oh, well, we lost to this once, so now we get rid of it. But these are 2 champions, one of which, the Kassadin, is a target ban. You do not give that to Dolce Pooncake. Everybody in PACG should know this by now. He's done so well game after game after game after game. I believe every single win they've had, somebody check my facts here, but I believe I'm not mistaken if I say every single win he's been on Kassadin.
I think you're right.
And then the Tarek, even though it's not a target, Mr. PBH, yes, you could say it's target because he picks it and he does it well, but generally speaking, Tarek's just a really good ban anyway. You don't want to play against it if you're not planning to pick it.
Oh,
so
hello.
That's not a bug on your screen. Fellow gamers, this is Joe Mickey going to be playing the Kindred jungle, busting it out here. The first time we've seen a Kindred ever in PACG. First time I've seen a Kindred since, I think I was in
Season
diapers. Yeah.
It's been a long, long time.
Yeah, I think I was in kindergarten maybe,
Oh my gosh.
but it's been a very long time. I think the last time I did see Kindred, she still had the old passive.
yeah, the scaling damage as opposed to attack range.
Yeah, which...
Or it was
scaling
attack speed.
It's attack range. Right
now it's range. Yeah, it used to be scaling attack speed.
on damage, on hit damage.
Was that what it was?
Based on maximum health.
I never played it.
Oh yes. Because she
hello.
is technically another champion that rarely gets mentioned that fits into that pool of infinite scalers.
Yeah.
But only if there's champions.
Yes.
Right? So you can't PvE your way to infinity as you can with other infinite scalers, quote unquote, like the Scion, the Vigor.
All the others.
Yeah. But you can essentially infinitely scale. I remember, just as a side note before we get back to the draft,
Okay.
Kindred as a champion is really fun, and way back when it was the stacking passive damage, I just like to play those like custom games where I've done this on Vigor and Nasus, whatever. Just see how long I can stack before I just get absolutely bored. And just so you know, I don't. Like,
Okay.
I'm talking maximum crit damage in the post game screen for Nasus, like somewhere in the neighborhood of 5.6k.
Oh, good grief,
But
dude.
on Kindred, for example, because it's based on maximum health, I just go solo Baron after I have like 28 stacks in my passive, and at that point it's like 55% max health.
Oh man.
And so like that's like 3-shot Baron and like 3
that's
auto attacks.
so
And they're like all
dumb.
crits. It's like, okay, I'm a champion.
That is so
nice
dumb.
to meet you. But yeah, that's the Kindred. Not going to work out the same though because they did change that passive. But now you can see we're completing now the second phase of bans. This is going to be the second phase of picks. Bottom lanes are looking to be rounded out here with the supports that will come through. That's going to be Jinjin James. His Karma was banned away. 4 of 5 Stanford, 4 of the 5 bans from Stanford were onto Jinjin James.
I think now. So this is what's so interesting. I don't think. I mean, they would have to if you don't. Man, that's just so odd to me because you can still ban top laners unless Carlton Danks is just so confident in everything. But it was the only ban right to go. You know, you want to force him on the Karma. He doesn't pick it. So then you're like, okay, well, let's get rid of that and Nami. So now you have to play a tank.
Yeah.
And, you know, Braum, no slouch. Definitely not. But, you know, being able to answer it with the Alistar, I think that's a really good answer here coming out of Stanford.
It is a good champion. This generally will still go in favor of Colorado for the bot lane. Braum's really good into Alistar. Post level 6, you can interrupt the knockup, and you can kite really far away. And if you interrupt the initiation that Alistar's meant to bring, if you do, then, especially in a 2v2, he's got nothing left to stop you just chasing down this Ezreal. Ezreal actually is countered by Vayne just in terms of the bottom lane. I played this a ton. I'm like basically an Ezreal one-trick if I'm not playing support, and Vayne is the bane of my existence, simply because if you don't get her low and you're post level 6, if you're pushed up at all, she can just tumble at you and you're really, really sad.
Yeah.
Really, really sad. Yar can shift away. Sorry, you're still in range of her passive. She's going to chase you down. And unless you have additional peel or you just somehow have more damage than her and you land all your skill shots, she will chase you down and there's nothing you can do about it. Maybe you can try and like bait her into condemning you and you arcane shift away so that she gives you more of a gap.
Yeah.
Close in the to run away, but it's kind of awkward. Generally speaking, it will be in favor of Vayne, and late game should be in favor of Vayne. You can see this is tanky frontline here. You got Mr. PBH, and you got clans. Carlton Danks did get the feared, and oftentimes does fear,
Oh my gosh.
champions. Top lane pick here, it's going to be that Urgot, but Dapper Dave should scale well, and we know that he's a good AD carry. We know he can scale on this champion, and the hope here for Colorado is to bring the win in Game 2 into their favor with the scaling that their team composition absolutely does. Look at this lineup.
It's amazing. There's that tanky Maokai we were talking about. You know, he's going to keep getting stronger later into the game. The Kindred able to get the extra attack rates. If Joe Mickey can land those ganks like he was doing in Game 1, that will get him the hunts, the stacks on the passive, and then allow Dapper Dave to really start shining on this Vayne. I believe, actually, Was that a Dapper Dave pick earlier on in the season? I know he played the Callista first, but I'm pretty sure the second game he played the Vayne. Let's see here. No, it was Tristana. My bad. But Vayne is awesome.
Yeah, and late game scaling nonetheless. Tristana or Vayne, both of them, they do different things.
Definitely.
Well, okay, I lie. Somebody's going to call me out on that and be like, no, they both right-click.
Okay, you know what?
Right-click to win. But in different ways. They
Yes.
right-click slightly differently. Right? And of course,
that sounds weird, but you're exactly right. Just the damage from Tristana is coming from the crits and the explosions and the resets on the rocket jump because of the bombs. Whereas with Vayne, you are tumbling you want to go forward. Whereas Tristana, you only want to go forward after you've taken out the 2 frontliners.
Yeah.
And with Vayne, you know, you have your invisibility, you have the movement speed, you have the ability to condemn, percent, max, health, true damage.
True.
That is the biggest difference between the two, is the augmented damage from Vayne's auto attacks is just amazing to watch.
Yeah, and if you're Colorado, again, you're down 1-0 in this best-of-3 series. You're hoping that the truth will set you free, right? It's going to be the true damage that Vayne will do. Well, hopefully, there's no damage reduction technique, right? The Alistar ultimate actually doesn't stop that damage. It's true damage that the Vayne can apply, meaning if you think that you're fine to engage as the Zac and Alistar, the main 2 tanks here for Stanford, you get in there, you think you started a fight pretty well. If you don't actually catch them, if you don't catch the Rise and the Vayne, you're in big freaking trouble. Especially the Vayne. Even if you catch the Rise, the Kindred and the Vayne can just track you down. I want to say hunt you down, but you have to be, you know, marked first if you're actually hunted.
And so that actually brings a really good point. Kindred's ultimate, Lamb's Respite, that right there is going to be astoundingly fun to watch because Vayne is squishy. If you do jump on her, Kindred needs to jump forward and throw that ult down. Now, you can't drop below a certain health threshold, but until you hit that threshold, you can take damage.
Yeah.
And if Vayne has the attack speed and the damage to do it, just pop, 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 to get everybody down to equal ground. And equal ground for Vayne is victory ground.
It can be, absolutely. The one thing that I think is interesting is that it was Colorado, or excuse me, it was Stanford that banned out Tark, even though they got the win.
It was Colorado.
This time?
Yeah, Colorado banned out the Tarek, yes.
I was right in the first time. I corrected myself, but that was the wrong choice. I incorrected myself. They banned the Tarek, but Stanford says, that's fine. You know what else works pretty much the same? Kindred ult. We'll just go with that. Kindred ult's fine. And so I like that. You have Colorado banning out that win condition, essentially, and then taking it for themselves. And it should do well. But the one thing that I wanted to mention on top of that is if the Kindred ult is that important to them, the Tarek ult type mentality, the one thing about Kindred ult is you can't spread out like Tarek ult is.
Yeah.
You have to be in this small little location. It's wide, but it's still small. It's about the width of a lane, right? But if you're all there, if the ultimates are held, why wouldn't Carlton Danks just be like, Kindred ult? Oh, it's gone. Ultimate. You're killing whoever got low, right? Because even if it's the tanks, yes, they can't die because they can't get below that threshold, but you can ult them. We'll have to see how those team fights play out. We're here on to Summoner's Rift. This is Stanford University versus University of Colorado Boulder. Man, this is going to be a nail-biter for certain. Colorado has drafted extremely well. There's no real...
aggressive.
Yeah, extremely aggressively, and the hyper-scaling that can come through, especially with Kindred Ultimate. Just a fun fact for all of you out there, I believe it was a 143-minute game is the longest ever recorded match of match-made League of Legends, and it was on the Oceanic server last year.
Oh, dear.
And it was a Kindred who had over, I believe it was over 120 kills.
Oh my gosh.
But somehow it took them over 2 hours to end the game. And I'm not even certain, I don't actually recall if it was the Kindred and her team who won. So anyway, that's just a fun tidbit for you, that the infinite scaling is not only a theoretical possibility, but it has been a reality too, and that was a ranked game.
I believe it.
But it's Oceania, what can you say?
Yeah,
so,
I don't know. But it's crazy, the fact that Joe Mickey picks the Kindred. Not that Joe Mickey picked, that anybody picked the Kindred. She hasn't been around for a really long time. I think Riot thought that the change to her passive might make her a little bit more popular again, but it didn't end up happening. And now we're going to see it, and I wonder if we'll recognize why they, because it is Lamb and Wolf, we'll see why they aren't picked. Because if this doesn't work, it's not going to look good at all.
The worry is that if you get locked down at all and you don't have your ultimate, that you're just squishy, you can't really do anything, and you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
We'll have to see if that is how this plays out. But speaking of, I mentioned how in Game 1, Clans here on the Zac has to be the one to essentially carry the early game. Not so much anymore. There's a little pressure taken off of him to do that, right? He doesn't have to carry the early game. Speaking of the early game, you can see Stanford is pushing essentially every lane but bottom, right? Oriana's got pressure at least a little bit in mid. The top lane that we've been watching for a while here, Carlton Danks shoving in no problem. In fact, he's only ever missed 1 CS so far, so he's totally comfy doing this. Dolce Pooncake now has finally crashed to the turret. He's feeling pretty good about himself, but you can see he's essentially face-checking into Kindred. Perfect timing on that ward. He does spot out the Kindred. She's got double buffs. She's looking to just farm up. This is going to take a lot of damage because those are the damaging-ist camp there is.
That is a flash burned on top side. Clans showing up to help Carlton Danks, and Ragnar has to flash. Only level 3, now 10-ish CS behind. Not looking good for the Maokai. This matchup is so different than the one against the Scion. Like, you cannot get close to this guy because of the knee shotguns.
Yeah.
It's just so much more damage than Scion could put out.
Yeah, and you can't really dodge out a meaningful amount of damage. Whereas in that Scion matchup, the Maokai, you can use your twisting advance to essentially dodge whichever you choose, whether it be the E or the Q from the Scion, and one of those essentially gets nullified. But with Ragnar the Sexy, you might be able to dodge a skill shot, but the shotguns will deal so much damage. Speaking of so much damage,
he's getting so low. Ragnar unable to stand in this. He's only 5 CS down now. Joe Mickey wants to go in, but meanwhile, Dapper Dave and Ginger James are in a lot of trouble. That's double summoners burned for Dapper Dave on this Vayne here.
Oh, but Jinjin James used the Ignite just randomly onto Fiddix. Might have been a misclick of sorts. Maybe he thought it was exhaust that he had and was just trying to keep Dapper Dave alive. It was actually awkward in that little gank in the bottom lane. Jinjin James stepped to the side to dodge out the stretching strike, but because he did that, Dapper Dave gets hit and pulled back in, and his summoner spells get forced. It's not Jinjin James' fault. It's
no.
Yo, dodge the skill shot, man. It's like the Caitlyn, or not a Caitlyn ultimate. That's always feels bad.
Yeah.
If you dodge, you let your teammate get hit by it. But, you know, if you're dodging, say, Ezreal ultimate, and you dodge it, that's a little different because you can't, like, body block it for someone. But, you know, dodge it too. Don't let
dodge all of
If
the
I can dodge
things.
it, you can too, so.
Well,
unlucky.
and actually, it's interesting doing exactly those type of things. We hear some of the LCS casters calling out supports for doing things like that, not being aware of the spells and the position of their carry. And so you're right, you know, that it was a good thing to dodge it, but at the same time, if he had to dodge it, that definitely means Dapper Dave should have been paying attention and dodged it as well. And on Vayne, you just tumble.
Yeah.
It would have been very easy, but Elastic Slingshot forward. That is the double knock-up stretching strike into the Alistar combo, but the Unbreakable saves a lot of damage. And the flash from Clans and Jinjin James mean still no first blood coming in on 6 minutes in this game.
Yeah, I do like this from Clans, though. He goes right back to the lane that he just got summoner spells from. That's what you have to do as a jungler, especially in the early game when you know that people are in such low levels. They're very easy to burst down. There's not as much lifesteal or health items or anything of that nature to keep people alive. And you can see we're finally into the game here where there's still just the one stopwatch. So luckily, that's just going to be it.
A lot of damage onto Joe Mickey there. Ragnar needs to jump away. He does get the Scuttle Crab to assist him there. Now it is going to be a 3v2 because Zac was on the bottom side. They get the Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, that's a
Is that a hunt?
of the mark. Yes,
Oh,
it is.
they
It was
did
a
get
hunted
it.
target, so Joe Mickey going to get denied that. In fact, he's going to change who he's hunting entirely.
Well, he hasn't seen Zac.
Yep, he has not. Zach down to Summoner Spell, though. He did use his flash in that bottom end of the map. Going to get them a little bit of an advantage, but despite all the pressure that Clans has been putting in the bottom lane, you see CS numbers are still totally fine for Vayne. No problems there. But where there are CS problems, right on your screen here, the top lane. Ragnar the Sexy, we saw him do really well on the Maokai last game.
Oh, he gets it, and the ultimate fear beyond death nets first blood for Carlton Danks.
Yeah, and if you're Colorado, this is the last thing you wanted to see happening, is Carlton Danks in a solo kill, getting himself ahead on this champion we've seen him pop off on time and again. It is his pocket pick. It is his first pick, and it is his best pick that we've seen thus far.
It's gross.
He's now essentially doubling the crowd, from doubling the CS score of Colorado's top lane. Ragnar the Sexy on this Maokai. He was doing fine last game, but not doing fine at all right now.
And like I said, it's the different. I think that Ragnar expected to do as well as Carlton did in that matchup, but it was against the Scion, not against an Urgot. I don't think that Maokai is a good pick into the Urgot. I think you need something a little bit more aggressive even. You know, you have to fight him back. But yeah, just not working out at all right now. And I'm going to say it, that ultimate is scary in-game when you see the chains coming across your screen. It's scary even as spectating. Like, you see it land, you're just like, oh no!
Yeah.
And it grabs him, and it's just terrifying.
Yeah.
They did a really good job on that rework on the animations and stuff. But next gank here, Clans is going to get the stun from the Stretching Strike. An ultimate there onto I Am Order. Realm Warp is cast, and he makes it out just barely. That was crazy.
So clean there from I Am Order. Doesn't even bother flashing, not really worried at all. Just gives himself the passive shield to try and mitigate the damage, waits out the crowd control, and then says, all right, I'm out. And just channels that ultimate. Really nice play. I like it when I see that kind of thing, where it looks like he's in such a bad spot. He's got all the way halfway up the lane. He's getting hit by all those different spells, but he just waits out the ones he needs to and essentially walks away, or rather teleports away in just a few moments.
And beautiful play. Like, it is unfortunate, JK, about the whole Realm Warp plus the stopwatch thing. You know, that's what we would have seen. Good riddance indeed. I thought it was the most annoying thing ever. But fantastic use of the rest of the kit. But now we do see the collapse. Jinjin James is only level 5, but will they be able to get this? A lot of damage. Condemn goes against the wall onto Clans, but now the Kindred ult is there. No one is going to be able to die. There's a jump out for Fidix. He isn't out. Blue team manages to get the Ocean Drake. Red team, oh wow, he gets the passive. Will Zach be able to live? And now I Am Order is onto Fidix. One more auto attack. Dapper Dave gets a kill. I Am Order picks up a kill. 2-1 now. Colorado pulling out a great play there to try and combat the Dragon.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely insane. And the Dragon, by the way, did go over to Stanford at the end there. It was level 7. Clans had plenty available to him. He gets the smite, secures it for his team. But let's get a replay of what happened. We're going to get right into, well, first after
this fight. Is I Am Order strong enough?
No.
Not enough range, but I was more worried. Okay, the mana on Dolce, that's why he felt confident running in there. But yeah, I agree. I think we need to see that replay here coming up. We're getting ready for it.
Yeah, and watch, right here, the Ezreal's going to turn around and start channeling his ultimate, but he gets out kind of in an awkward position. Okay, this was right after it was channeled, but it was Unbreakable that stopped the entire Ezreal ultimate from dealing any damage. And then Kindred's just saying, you know, this is fine. Comes down the last auto attack from Zach, or excuse me, from Ezreal actually ends up securing the Dragon. Smite was used way too early. The chase down will always be in favor. We mentioned about how Vayne can do it. I Am Order here on the rise can do it too. So even though the Dragon goes over to Stanford, Colorado does just fine, chasing them down, getting them a couple of kills. Now they're barely up in gold, which is good news for them, good news for Colorado fans. But the Ocean Dragon will do a lot, especially for Ezreal, who's going to try and stack his tier.
Now, we are back up in the top lane looking at this. Carlton Danks is out-healthing, if that's a thing, the Maokai on this Urgot. which is gross. A lot of armor for Ragnar the Sexy, but Carlton Danks is going to be a lot more healthy. And I think it's going to continue to be that way. This ultimate hat stack. he gives us a little emote there. He did fire the ultimate backward toward his own turret. I wonder what that was all about. I hope it's ultimate hat. He did give us a nice... but Joe Mickey might be caught out here. That is a lot of damage with the elastic slingshot and the ultimate from Dolce. Instant catch. Joe Mickey going down. Did he get the hunt from that camp, though? I believe he did end up getting the big raptor. Now Dolce going to take a lot of damage. I Am Order going to get hit with the elastic slingshot. He gets pulled out of his realm warp. He is not home free. I Am Order now in a 1v2. He is slowed. He is damaged. He is hit. All of the things. He does get the root down onto Clans. He's doing so well here, but the elastic slingshot into the stretching strike does pick up another kill for Stanford.
Yeah, nice continued chase there. Rise not quite with the cooldown reduction necessary for him to just do machine gun Rise and get out with all of the shields and extra movement speed and locking people down, dealing lots of damage. But he will get there. That's for certain.
Oh, that's
I Am Order playing really clean on the Rise. Did mess up kind of using the ultimate there. Wasn't thinking about Zach's use of less bounce, stopping him from escaping.
So strong here. The Zach coming out for Clans again, doing exactly what it needs to, keeping his team forward. Now, the bot lane is looking very interesting here. Ezreal is keeping ahead, but only barely. Dapper Dave going to CS nicely underneath this turret, keep himself relevant, staying ahead even. But will it be able to combat the top side here? Because Carlton Danks is just destroying this lane. And with Clans here to help, his ultimate is back off of cooldown. He's just going to zone, gets hit, and that's the suppression. Carlton Danks now underneath the turret, does get the fear onto Joe Mickey. Willie ultimate is there. Lambster Spike going to keep them invulnerable. Root going to stop the elastic slingshot. Clans has to flash away. I Am Order flashes to pick up the kill, and now we have a fight here on the bot side as well. Looks like Mr. PBH popped his ultimate, and now Jin James is setting up with Dapper Dave. That's a nice headbutt pulverize. The ultimate stopped by Unbreakable Summoner Heal goes out from Dapper Dave. He's taken so low. Fidix picks up the kill. Flash from Mr. PBH just in case. But now Fidix wants blood here. He's going to go in onto Jin James. He is going to Arcane Shift into the Mystic Shot, but take a lot of damage from that Gromp. My goodness.
Yeah.
Look how far he comes out of the lane. Very patient Frog.
A nice play from both of these bottom lanes here. Colorado gets a nice engagement, forcing summoner spells to be used. It was the exhaust first that had to come through. PBH in a really scary spot. The ignite was ticking during his ultimate, but then they do get the turnaround. It was a great headbutt pulverize onto 2, forcing summoner spell after summoner spell. It was the flashes that had to come through because of the damage put out there by Fidix. True Shot Barrage, nice combo there. You can see they're on the same page, this bottom lane duo. Mr. PBH and Fidix doing work, trying to get themselves even more of a lead. CS numbers already in favor of Ezreal, and he matches the 1 kill score that Vayne had already gotten for herself.
So now I think we need to look back at these jungle picks. Clans on the Zac is going to have amazing pressure from here on out, and always has. Kindred is just so linear, I think. There are only so many ways you can do things, so many gank paths, so much damage you can deal, where Clans, I don't know about this. Mr. PBH and Dolce are caught here. The ultimate does land onto Mr. PBH, and now it looks like Ragnar wants to knock them in. Flashing away from Clans ult, you have to at this point, but now they don't have a wave strong enough to withstand Dolce's wave clear.
Yeah, and Dolce Mooncake here has his completed item. That's going to match the Rise item, but she already used her ultimate, right? So the Orianna ultimate and the low mana means Orianna's kind of a non-factor for this dragon fight here. Will they get the steal?
Oh, he does! Stanford picks it up! Clans manages to get the smite, but will he pay for it with his life? He definitely does. Will they get the shield from Dolce Mooncake? No. Instead, he tries to deal the damage. Dapper Day picks himself up a kill, and the whole time, Carlton Danks. Meanwhile, top lane.
Yeah, the meanwhile top lane meme is real. That's going to be first brick, and it's on to first blood. Carlton Danks here.
This guy.
He's got a lot of gold. He's up 60 CS over that Maokai. Now, the Maokai showed up did work, helping them to get the neutral objective. And by get it, I mean leash it, right?
That feels so bad.
It does. It does. I mean, I didn't get to pay close enough attention to see if Smite was available for Joe Mickey when they were doing it, but I imagine it was. I can't imagine they would have started it. And if they did, that's just a full-on mistake.
I Am Order does get the root to stop the WQ combo from Mr. PBH, but then Joe Mickey caught by Carlton Danks. Joe Mickey is very squishy.
Joe Squishy?
Joe Squishy.
It's pretty close.
And
that's his nickname.
That's actually one of the biggest reasons I think Kindred fell out of favor, because as a marksman, not very strong. You have to have such good engage. The tank top laner and, you know, tank bot laner, that's when you can pull out assassins and marksmen here, like the Kindred and the Graves, Kha'Zix and Jackson, the like.
This is a stack, though.
This is the stack? All right, so it does look like they're going to get things here, but it's at a lot of cost. Jin James going underneath the turret, misses the first hit there with the Winter's Bite. Joe Mickey now in. Do they have him marked? That's an ult. Does he get? He does. They pick that up, and even on the top side, triple kill somehow. The knee shotgun, I think, picked up Vayne on the backside, and that is now a 5-0 Carlton Danks Urgot. This does not look good for Colorado.
The Kindred pick, man. Joe Mickey, Joe Squishy, Joe Resident Sleeper on the ultimate. He had it there, but Carlton Danks, I mean, they were choosing to dive without a wave. And that's where I'm like, wait, Braum, you do realize you can't block tower hits with Unbreakable, right? Mm-hmm. No? Okay, well, maybe misclick. But at least they're sticking around because they're going to use Lamb's Spite, right? No, they don't. He just dies, and everybody dies. Watch this once again. Jin James is already tanking the turret. This is what I mean by no wave, right? And he's still standing there. He's saying, I'll take this, I'll take this. Joe Mickey's like, I'll get over here. This is where, instead of W, you need to press R. You can see by the time they exited tower range, then the Vayne is now tanking, and she was already half health from the trade near the turret in the first part. Ends up being a triple kill, 5-0.
There's the Lamb's Respite, but now you're trying to kill someone. So there's the ultimate now from Zach, throwing Jin James in. He does flash away, but now you have two very low hit point members of your team. There's the ultimate. That's going to be 6-0 now for Carlton Danks. Jump in with the Elastic Slingshot. Root there from Ragnar, the sexy Joe Mickey, still very, very low. Headbutt pulverized, does not land the pulverized. Mr. PBH is going to go down here. One more auto attack, but now Carlton Danks is godlike, 7-0. There's a root underneath the turret. I Am Order is here. He wants to get the kill onto Fidix. Carlton Danks is so low. There's the shutdown in favor of Dapper Dave. Realm Warp going to go in here. Maybe he tried to get out. He is in, and I don't think he wanted to be. He is low, but his team is on the way. Dapper Dave gets one auto attack, 2, 3. Clans is now down, but Dapper Dave gets wrecked by Dolce Pooncake.
Rip Vayne. That was actually, overall, I would say very in favor of Colorado. Even if this goes poorly. Okay, 1-for-1 right there is even better for Stanford. Or excuse me, for Colorado. Because Stanford has been ahead this whole time. They've been doing extremely well. Getting a shutdown, a maximum shutdown onto Carlton and giving that gold all the way over to Dapper Dave. 4-3 here on the Vayne. That'll be able to answer the 7-1 Urgot, if not instantly deleted. But you can see, this is where you're like, run, team, run, right? You're trying to get out of there, but there's a nice snipe once again. No surprise there. We should just be used to that by now from Carlton Danks. But the Ragnar, the sexy, getting the root, it actually saves Joe Mickey. And there's the flash, awkward combo. The Ole cosplay happening there for just a half second. But Carlton Danks is going to go way deep. And this is him tanking turret. He does have a lot of health, but not a lot of armor. Dapper Dave is going to get the last hit, and that's 390 plus the bonus team gold.
This is where we missed here. A nice knockback.
Yes, it was. And the nice body block from Clans keeps PBH alive for a while. And this is I Am Order getting extremely low. Nice use of Seraphs to try and buy a little bit more time. The flash, tumble, ultimate. And this is going to be the heal to come even further. The heal should have probably come out here from I Am Order to maybe keep a little bit healthier. The Vayne might have been able to live. I'm not certain. She was really, really low. I don't know if heal would have even given enough health. But we're already back. There's the Baron that was started out by Stanford trying to start this out. Lambs Respite is available. You can see Jin James is pretty low.
Now, they are split. The ultimate from Maokai is out. Mr. PBH is all alone. A nice shockwave. Jin James goes down. Ragnar the Sexy is low. He goes down. I Am Order, though, picks up a kill on the backside. Suppression. Oh, the timer for Lambs Respite was almost there. Carlton Danks does pick up the kill on to Dapper Dave, and that's an ace for Colorado trying to stop the Baron for only Mr. PBH.
Oh, my goodness. So poorly played there from Colorado. Other than, I want to say Dapper Dave. Yeah, I want to give credit where credit is due. Dapper Dave positioning as well as he could to be able to never stop auto-attacking. He even dodged out away from the shockwave that hit other members, multiple members of Colorado. But Joe Mickey hops out of his own invulnerability ultimate to get hit by the ultimate there from Carlton Danks. He gets executed. So watch how this happens. You can see the teleport comes through. Ragnar's in the pit. He's kind of in an awkward position, but he's so tanky, he can just wait, get over the wall. He gets the root to kind of peel his backline. You can see Dapper Dave, he's going to get away from the shockwave, barely on the edge. He's going to take down Mr. PPH on the back end of this, or at least tries to. Carlton Danks is now stuck in there with two, but watch, Joe Mickey on the top of your screen jumps out of his own ultimate. That's his little hop, and then Carlton Danks, look at that damage. He's just going to chase him down. I Am Order kind of stuck on the corner. And then he's going to fall. The
so
flash,
close.
He can't flash away from ranged auto attacks. Kind of awkward there. But a fight. Once again, we're back on live.
There's another ult from Carlton Danks getting another kill. Clans is going really low here. Will he go down? He survives. Ragnar the Sexy is the next target. He gets killed. He gets a heal, but does go down to Dolce, and so does Joe Mickey. Mr. PBH dodges out the Realm Warp, and that's a third Ocean Drake and the fight for Stanford. 23.5 minutes.
Ooh.
Magic time.
The 23-minute mark shows you when the game has pretty much been decided, right? That was the Baron in Game 1 that went in favor of Stanford, and now it is the third Elemental and a convincing team fight to catapult them into a double-digit gold lead. This is massive. Juhadre, I'm not sure if they could ever defend this push onto the base. You got 4 members there. Ooh,
oh, this is going to feel bad. Summoner heal, flash forward for the root. Oh, but a nice Zonya's. No, stopwatch, I mean. Massive shields from Command Protect, almost getting that there. And now we are back up onto the bottom side of the red team base. Rise is not here. And Dapper Dave is already dead, as well as Jin James. Now Joe Mickey does have the ultimate and is on the wrong side of his turrets. He gets hit by Fiddix. There's a ult there. Fiddix is rooted, and now Rise is 1v3 without the turrets. No execute because Saris Embrace is strong. I Am Order does manage to survive the Carlton Dunks, but now they are out Nexus turrets. There's the combo. There is all the damage that they need. Clans picks up another kill. Fiddix is going to slay Joe Mickey on the other side. Dapper Dave, though, is here. He gets hit with the stretching strike. Gonna get 1 kill there, but the Nexus goes down, and it does not matter. Stanford take it 2-0 against Colorado.
They really cleaned it up from last game, too, though. They drafted slightly better. Carlton, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I could just like put my hand on the screen and be like, they drafted better, looking only at Carlton Danks picking their on one champion. I mean, his Urgot play has always been amazing to watch, and it feels like he just hard carries every single game. 12-1-6 to end the game. Yeah, the snipes with his ultimate. I mean, ultimate hat, there's the one. But other than that, I mean, when does he ever miss this thing, right? And the only times that he like doesn't get kills out of it is when you have some sort of survivability mechanism that just magically keeps you healthy enough, like the Seraphis and Braves at the end there that you called. Yeah, I mean, very convincing now. It seems that 23-minute mark is right on the dot there. Jahadre, something. Man. It's the point in the game where the Baron spawns. That's when the mid game is starting, the mid to the early late game. And so if you haven't won by then, and you're an early game team going against the late game team, there's no hope. Yeah. Yeah, and they completely unlocked their composition this time.
Yeah, they did.
And played beautifully. I didn't see very many mistakes, massive mistakes here from Stanford. So they'll give themselves now another 2-0, right? That's pretty good for them to be able to come out here. They're now 3-0 match record.
Huge.
They're looking real strong here. Stanford University showing that they're not all academics over there. So really good play from them. Congratulations once again to Stanford. Well fought, Colorado. We're going to take a quick break and be right back with our second match of the evening. Once again, You're watching the Pacific Alliance of Collegiate Gamers Spring Tournament. This is week 4. We're coming into our second match of the evening here on day 1. I'm Jake at SupermanCasting Mori, casting alongside Jihadre. We'll be right back with more League of Legends action after the break.